Up next on B-Span 2, Beast publisher Paul Fallon talks about stuff.
So, Ian Murphy suggested to me the other night, I was drunkenly ranting to him, I should do a daily video blog. I probably just wanted me to stop talking. I don't know what the deal was, but anyhow, I was going to do it that night. It was a few nights ago, but I didn't do it. I actually started to do it, but some events came up, and unfortunately had to call the police. I never in my life have had to dial those fucking three numbers, man. 911, fuck. Made me sick. I fucking hate the police, man. I'm a lawyer, you know. I mean, like, I see what they fucking do all the time, and they're fucking lying bastards most of the time. They're like fucking out of control. But, you know, I had to do it, and I did it. You know, really, the cops showed up, and they were kind of fucking cool. I mean, they weren't dicks, but, so I'm this one guy that was kind of an asshole, but he's a younger, fucking, over aggressive, under socialized douchebag, maybe. I mean, they attract a little bit of a type, you know, I'm talking about. You know, my son's gonna be a prison guard. Oh, congratulations, madam. Your fucking son is an asshole. Okay, fuck you. But anyway, so that's really not what I'm talking about. You know, I think the problem, you know, that like people like me get accused of because I'm kind of hard on the police. They say, oh, we need the police, and I said, fucking right. Maybe I realized that the other day, but I always kind of realized that we need somebody to help us. We're a community. People need help from people that do whatever they gotta fucking do. I mean, it's not like we can all stand alone. We maybe have to try to be cooperative and fucking help each other as much as we can. And if we get some guys that are like staying up all night, and we can call them whatever the fuck we want, like, help us. It's a good fucking thing. And if they're decent people, shit, it's alright. I mean, but unfortunately, there's it's not going so good in the whole kind of like law enforcement thing, like a general global sense. I mean, anybody who wants to protest, they get stormtroopers coming out there and not letting them do what they want to do. But and like, as I said, as a defense attorney, I'm dealing with lying son of a bitch cops all the fucking time, and it's pretty despicable. And you just look at the news, cops are just fucking out of control. I mean, even local ones, they're just killing people for no reason, tasing the shit out of motherfuckers. It's pretty despicable. But we're very criticism of the police is hard for people because they kind of understand the notion that we need somebody to help us out. We need somebody to help us out. That's all it is. But I guess there's an expression in Russia that is along the lines that I think it is the fish rots from the head down. And the fact of the matter is, our leaders are fucking stinking rotten motherfuckers, and it's been going on since forever. I mean, not forever to some extent, but since Reagan and Bush and Clinton and Bush and Obama, it's just getting worse and worse. I mean, so the people that they go after, these fucking like hackers or somebody that wants to like protest the torturing of animals, like beagles for cosmetic research and shit like that. If you try to disrupt their fucking stuff, then you're a terrorist. But if you're Bank of America and helps money launder money for Mexican drug cartels who it's a dog eat dog business that kills people. I mean, they're feeding the market with the markets here, but they get let off with a little slap on the wrist fine. Nobody gets put in handcuffs or anything like that. And these people like Snowden and Julian Assange, WikiLeaks, and those people, Bradley Manning, and that are trying to say, look, man, we can't do this shit. I mean, when the Germans and the fucking went along with Hitler's bullshit, we still told them, like, if you go along with this shit, man, you're gonna pay the price too. It is your duty to like fucking tell us what the fuck is going on. You have to, no matter what the law says, you have to tell us that. You have to speak out if shit's bad. And it's what these people do, and then they get completely fucking terrorized, put in jail, whatever. And it's a fucking shame, and people are so goddamn scared just to say it. And when I saw this, Michael Hastings died, and of course, nobody. I mean, I'm not gonna go try to make any kind of conspiracy theory fucking bullshit, but when it comes out that the day before, or less than a day before, I think it was like 15 hours before, he'd sent out a message. I don't know if it was an email message or a text or a tweet or whatever to a bunch of his friends saying, like, I'm being hassled by the FBI and I'm working on some big stories. I might have to go off radar for a little while. And one of the stories that was mentioned, not by him in the email, but by his employers, was that he was working on a case about Garrett Brown, maybe if you read the Beast, then you probably know who Garrett Brown was. He's in jail, facing 100 years in prison. And I think an interview was done with him in one of our Beast podcasts. But he was a guy that he was a journalist. He was a punk. He used drugs and shit like that. So he wasn't a perfect person. But he started seeing what WikiLeaks, what was going on with WikiLeaks, and then he saw what was going on with Anonymous. He started following what was going on with Anonymous, and then Anonymous then, soon after he started following them, he discovered that they had hacked this company called HP Gary, who was a company that was working within Washington and lobbying and getting U.S. Justice Department involved in cases and so on and so forth, and working with corporations where they would try to discredit whistleblowers or investigative journalists. They had an idea to take down Glenn Greenwald. I'm not a big Glenn Green, blah 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 blah. No, I mean Glenn Greenwald. I am not a big fan. But sometimes I guess he does decent shit. But I mean, he was all in favor of invading Iraq, and then he wasn't in favor, and it's just like, maybe I think. But anyhow, but he was exposing some stories that they didn't like, so they were coming up and proposing plans to help companies lobby Congress or get the Justice Department to act on their behalf to go after these fuckers and get the FBI involved and shit like that. So these HB Gary that was involved in all this nefarious bullshit got their freaking shit hacked by Anonymous, and they took all their documents and exposed what fucking corrupt fucking douchebags they were. I mean, they had proposed to the Air Force to create this fucking avatar that could be like one dude could adopt many characters on social media in order to try to sway the argument to make it appear that there was this grassroots opposition to what some kind of thing, and they were just fake people that they were putting up, and they did all this kind of, like I said, they try to figure out ways to leak fake story to Glenn Greenwald, and if you ran with it, then they would expose him for being a commie pickle fuckwad or whatever, But So they hacked this fucker's site, it was a shitload of documents they took, all these fucking emails and crap like that. And so Barrett Brown, thinking this was pretty cool, set up like, no one person can't go through like hundreds of thousands of documents. He like got together like a group of people and said, look through this shit and let's see if we can find anything. So they're looking through that stuff, and then and I got a lot of this from an article on Information Clearinghouse, and other people that have been doing stuff on this. So I'm not like I haven't been spending my hours digging through this shit, but I'm relying on people that have done it, and it's legitimate. So and exposed like these different companies that were working with them, and kind of like this kind of nefarious interlinking between these companies that work on the intelligence, strategic, intelligence and stuff like that, and then try to like work with corporations and the military to completely control what their agenda. I mean, they want to put their agenda of more war, so they can send more planes. They can control resources. They can keep an illiterate public illiterate and still buying their bullshit. So they came up with some good stuff, and then he was writing about it, and then I believe there was another hack of a firm called Stratfor, which is this some kind of like Washington-based think tank bullshit that tries to like tell politicians and the government what to do on behalf of their corporation and friends, and get paid a lot of fucking money. So it was like a whole shitload of documents, and he put those documents online, and then they kind of and his group that he had previously started, they put them together, and he was immediately they started making some connections, saying what people are working together in a legal way to control what people are thinking. It's basically a illegal kind of propaganda organization because they're employing the government to do their bidding, like getting the FBI and the Justice Department involved. So as soon as they started putting the pieces together, Brown gets fucking raided by the feds in his home, and then he wasn't home. Actually, he was at his mother's house, and he busted in his mother's house, and he gets arrested. His mother gets charged, of course, because that's another way that they like put pressure on him. And he drunkenly on heroin, whatever, basically says the FBI agent that did this to me, I'm gonna make him pay, and I'm gonna use the same tactic he used on me against him. But it was very innocuous. But now they're making him out to be, the most evil person in the world. And so I don't know if I said this, but I think I did say it, that this Michael Hastings was working on a Barrett Brown piece. But going back to Brown's situation, he because he just he provided a link to this stuff that was downloaded from Stratfor, apparently in the metadata or whatever, or in the in somewhere where they downloaded, there were some credit card numbers that were unencrypted and so on and so forth. So regardless of, even though nobody ever used these credit card numbers to try to scam anybody or whatever, they just passed them out from one person to the other. They took the charge of threatening an FBI officer, which was not that significant. I mean, it's like 5 years in jail or something like that, and to like this whole kind of financial crime where he's facing 100 years in jail or 100 years in jail. I don't know, but so when you hear that, maybe somebody did motherfucking Julian Michael Hastings, and I wouldn't be surprised because the motherfuckers that run this country are a bunch of corrupt motherfucking assholes. All right, and the sooner we realize that, the sooner we are going to be able to do nothing because we can't fucking do shit. We're fucked. We are fucked.